You have big dreams of losing weight and creating a healthy, joyful life. But you find yourself craving sugar, caught up in what the scale says, and diet hopping. Dieting is the old way of losing weight. And the good news is I'm going to give you a new way of eating so you can ditch diets for good and build a healthy relationship with real food. My name is Megan Olson, certified nutrition practitioner, creator of Skinny Fitalicious, and your host of the Dish on Diets show. Hello, friends. Today we're talking about weight loss truths you don't want to hear. And these, of course, are not the usual things you usually hear about weight loss. I think you know that if you've listened to this podcast before. But before we get into the meat and potatoes of the weight loss truths you don't want to hear, we've got the May cookbook winner to announce. So Amanda J. Marsh, 44, is the May cookbook winner. Amanda says, listening to this podcast every day while taking my walks changed my life and outlook on food. I started because I heard about the Optavia podcast, and I had just gotten done losing 100 pounds with Optavia and gained 50 pounds back. I thought I was addicted to food. I didn't realize it wasn't me until Megan explained it. Since then, I have overhauled my habits, lost 10 pounds, and never felt better. Thank you, Megan. Amanda, I'm so happy for you. So you're the May cookbook winner. Please email me, Megan@skinnyfitalicious.com, to claim your cookbook prize. And as a reminder to all of you listening, I'm doing a cookbook giveaway every month during the year of 2024. So it's now June, friends. So if you want a chance to be entered into the monthly cookbook giveaway, all you have to do is leave a 5-star rating and review of this podcast on Apple Podcasts. And the way that you do that is by clicking on the thumbnail for the Dish on Ditching Diets podcast. You just click on my face and then you scroll to the ratings and review at the bottom and leave a 5-star rating and review. And I'm doing this monthly through December 2024, and your chances of winning my cookbook are really good. There's usually 3 to 5 reviews per month. So if you leave a review, the chances are high you're going to win since there's not that many entries. Okay. So now on to today's topic, weight loss truths you don't want to hear. And these are usually things people don't want to face. And I want to first preface this by saying that these truths are not to shame you. They're not to judge you, not to shame you. It's to help you improve, help you move forward in your journey, and help you get unstuck. And these things are very likely things that you are unaware that are keeping you stuck. And most people don't want to face the harsh truths, because if you have to face some of these things, now you have to hold yourself accountable. And it's easier not to face them, and because now you don't have to take a responsibility for some of these things. But listen, I want to help you. I want to help you achieve your goals. But the problem is, if you don't face some of these things, you're not going to achieve your goals permanently. And I'm not going to just tell you in today's podcast to eat your protein and be in a calorie deficit if you want to lose body fat. Yes, these things are very important. But what I am going to share with you is this list of things, because none of the things around like getting your steps, getting your protein, being in a calorie deficit actually matters if you don't have these things that I'm going to share with you today in check. And it's like having the foundation of your house. It doesn't matter what windows you have, what paint color you have for all the rooms in the house, what doors you have. If you don't have a good foundation, your house will crumble and fall. And this is what I see with a lot of women I work with in my nutrition practice. Their foundation sucks. Right? And this is why their house keeps falling down. They lose weight short term, but the weight keeps coming back. Remember, I said in my last podcast episode, this is the problem most people have. It's not that they can't lose weight, it's the weight keeps coming back. Okay? So for the things that we're going to talk about today, some of you may not want to hear these things, but you need to hear them in order to grow, in order to get to where you want to be. Okay? So number one, probably the most important one. You are looking for reasons to fail and struggle, and that's why you keep finding them. Listen, you must understand you will always find what you are looking for out in the world. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you find you are struggling, I guarantee it's because you are looking for reasons why you are struggling, why it's so hard, why you're going to fail. And what you are focused on, your brain is going to show more of that to you. When you are looking for reasons to fail, reasons to struggle, why it's so hard for you, your brain will hide from you everything that will make it easier in your journey. And it will only highlight to you the things that you struggle with and the reasons why you are going to fail. It's crazy, but this is what happens to so many individuals and they don't even realize it. It's like when you buy a new car, you never noticed that car before, but now that you bought it, you're focused on this new car that you just bought and you see it everywhere. Whereas before, you never saw that car. You rarely saw it. It really wasn't on your radar. It wasn't because none of those cars were on the road and nobody was buying that car and nobody was driving that car. It's because your awareness changed. Your brain was filtering things differently. If you always say, this is taking forever, I should have lost more weight, I should be at my goal by now, this isn't good enough, my coworker is making more progress than me, I'm not motivated, I can never stick with anything, this is what you are telling your brain to look for. So it's always going to hide your wins. It's always going to hide the opportunities, the solutions, how it could make it easier. It's only going to continue to validate for you and show you reasons why you will fail, because that's what you're focused on. So if you feel like the world is out to get you and you can never make this happen and you feel like this is always you're always struggling, you're always failing, and that's the story of your life, it's because you are looking for your failures. You are looking for your struggles. And we always get back what we look for. You have to, in this journey, intentionally train yourself to look for the things you are doing well. You have to force yourself to see where the wins are in your journey until your brain gets used to looking for that. And the craziest thing, this is so crazy. I see this with clients so frequently. They will come to a coaching call and they will say, I'm frustrated because nothing's working. And then I'll look at their measurements. And their measurements are consistently going down, 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 down. I mean, they're literally talking themselves out of their own successes. It's wild. I mean, human psychology is nuts. I've seen this behavior time and time again with clients. Nothing's working, but measurements are going down. It's like, what? Like, you know what I say to these clients? The only thing that is not working is your brain, because you are not allowing yourself to see your successes, to see your progress. You think it should be faster. You think it should be more. You are not celebrating your successes. You are already having success, but you're not letting yourself see it. And you keep waiting to celebrate success because you think success can only be celebrated when you achieve your dream body, and you keep looking for why you're gonna fail. Terrible mindset, wouldn't you say? Like, if it was your friend or your kid, would you allow them to get away with that kind of mindset? No. So why are you allowing yourself to get away with this mindset? You are going to look out in the world and see what you are focused on. If you always focus on why you're going to fail, why it's a struggle, why it's probably not going to work out for you, and woe is me, that's all you're going to see, and that's all you're going to get back. Okay? Number 2. You saying that you're an all or nothing person is just validating your bad behavior. So understand that when you say you're an all or nothing person, you are justifying why you are not where you want to be and justifying your poor decisions. If you binge on a pizza on a Thursday night and you say, I'm going to start over on Monday, you're validating the decision you're about to make that you know you shouldn't be making. Because when you say, I'm an all or nothing person, you're saying, I'm not in control. I have no control over my actions because this is just the kind of person I am and I can't ever change. I mean, what if this was any other area of your life? What if you dropped your phone and cracked your phone screen? It happens, right? Do you still try to use your phone, or do you say, I'm an all or nothing person, and you get a hammer and you bash your phone until it won't turn on? I'm going to bash my phone. Is that what you do? I mean, if you bought a carton of eggs and 2 of the eggs out of the 12 were cracked in the box, would you get home and get all mad and say, I'm an all or nothing person, so I'm going to throw out all the eggs instead of just throwing out the 2 that were cracked? If you get a flat tire, you're on the side of the road, do you get so mad that you have a flat tire, it's totally ruined your day? Do you get so mad that you go around and you slash all the other 3 tires? Now you got 4 flat tires. Do you do that, or do you just fix the one broken tire and move on? Do you ask your husband or your partner to go to the store to buy yogurt and they mistakenly get the wrong yogurt? When they get home, do you beat them up because you're an all or nothing person? I'm guessing not. Do you forget to shower, or maybe you're too busy to shower? You slept through your alarm and you say, screw this showering thing. I'm not showering until Monday. Everyone's just going to have to deal with my stinky body. I mean, imagine if you lived all aspects of your life like this, in the all or nothing. That would be ridiculous, right? I mean, some of these scenarios that I'm sharing with you are kind of funny, right? Like, you would never do that. I mean, if you took this all or nothing mentality that you do in weight loss and applied it to all areas of your life, you wouldn't make it more than a few hours in your life, right? I mean, many of you pull the all or nothing card because you're validating bad behavior. Stop doing that. Stop pretending you're an all or nothing person. You are not an all or nothing person. You aren't in other areas of your life. So why do you keep saying that you are in this area just because you haven't figured it out yet? The only reason you struggle with all or nothing in weight loss is because you haven't called yourself out on this before. You keep enabling yourself to say you're an all or nothing person. And when you say you're an all or nothing person, what you're saying is, I am just this way. I can't change. This is just who I am. But the truth is, you can change. Just because you're still figuring things out, just because you have struggles, doesn't mean you're not going to get there. I mean, when you learned how to drive a car, did you go, oh my gosh, I can't learn how to drive a car. This is way too hard. I'm sure you weren't driving a car perfectly the first time you got in the car, right? But you didn't like throw in the towel and get mad. It was a struggle until you learned. It's the same thing here with weight loss. It's a struggle until you learn. Everyone struggles until they learn. That's part of the process. You have to accept that's part of the learning process, okay? Number 3, you are spending way too much time fighting for your limitations. Everyone has mental, physical, emotional limitations of sorts. The problem is too many people fight for their limitations. They argue for their limitations. You don't get it. My mom did this thing to me. I grew up doing this thing. I have this health issue. I'm in menopause. My thyroid is slow. You don't understand. My husband is a lazy slug. I mean, the problem is when you fight for your limitations, when you argue for your limitations, you are quite literally arguing for why you can't get to where you want to be and why you can't take any steps to get to where you want to be to validate for why you should stay exactly the same. It's a justification to make yourself feel better for why you should just not do anything. But just because something's not your fault doesn't mean it's not your responsibility, right? So for example, when I bought my home 10 years ago, it was a brand new home. And I think it was after the 1-year expiration, when the builder warranties everything. And one day I came home and the water heater flooded the entire garage and there was a bunch of damage. Wasn't my fault, but it sure was my responsibility to fix it. It sucked and I just fixed it. Imagine if I just sat there and said it was the builder's fault. It's not my fault. I'm just going to sit here and sulk and complain to everybody that the water heater flooded my garage and it's the builder's fault and I did nothing to fix the problem. Imagine if I just did that. A lot of women I see are just sitting there spending a lot of mental time and energy on why they're broken, why they're never going to get to their goals, why they're probably never going to lose weight, and if they do lose weight, why they will probably gain the weight back, why they're going to fail, why it's not going to work this time. Ugh! What a terrible thing. It's awful to think that way. Imagine if you took some of that mental energy and time where you think about all your limitations all the time, and you took that and applied it to taking action, being consistent with action, finding solutions, asking for help, setting boundaries, communicating where you need help, and thinking, what if this does work out? What if I can figure this out? I figured out all these other million things in my life. I'm really successful in my job. What if I could make this happen? I bet I can make this happen. I mean, if you spent all of that mental time and energy that you focus on your limitations and arguing for your limitations, and you applied it in that way, you applied it differently, everything would change. I guarantee it. But I do see a lot of women who are kind of stuck in this cycle mentally. They're just kind of sitting there. My water heater's broke. I can't do anything. It's somebody else's fault. Yes, it probably is somebody else's fault. Yes, this thing happened. Yes, it's really not your fault, but it's still your responsibility to fix it. Okay? So no matter what conditions you have health-wise, no matter what your lifestyle is, no matter what your past trauma is, it's all your responsibility to fix at the end of the day. Okay? Number 4, your metabolism isn't slow. You just probably eat more than you think you do. You eat more than you're aware of, and you eat more than your body burns. Most people proclaim that their metabolism is slow. This has been debunked by really good research. They also proclaim their metabolism is broken or it's their age, but they haven't been consistent for more than 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, you can't say it's your metabolism or your age if you haven't been consistent for more than 2 or 3 weeks, you know? You may think or feel like you are eating 1,200 calories, and I'm just using that number as an example. But if you actually spent the time to weigh and measure all your food on a food scale in grams for the next 3 months, and you averaged out the calories for those 3 months, I guarantee your calories are probably higher than 1,200. If you were not seeing results in the past and you were aiming for this specific number that you thought you should be eating at, and you saw no results, you probably were eating more than you realize. I mean, in the scenario with the 1,200 calories, most likely, what a lot of people do is they're eating 1,200 calories for a few days, but then they have these days where they're eating 1,800 calories, 1,600 calories, 2,200 calories. So on average, your calories are much higher, and that's what your metabolism cares about. Your metabolism doesn't care that you're aiming for 1,200 calories each day. It cares, on average, what does the data actually say? So before you blame your metabolism, blame your age, or think you are broken, tediously weigh everything you eat on a food scale in grams and plug it into a tracking app for 1 month, and then take the average calories you ate for the month. When you put pen to paper, you will likely find you eat more than you realize. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen this with clients. They're like, I eat healthy. I don't understand why I'm not losing any weight, Megan. Well, 99% of my clients are eating a lot of health promoting foods. The problem for many of them is that their protein and fiber are so low, making them very hungry, and their calories are also much higher than they realize, which is why they're struggling with their weight. And honestly, I would, be a millionaire if I had $1 every time somebody told me that they thought their metabolism was slow or broken, and then we audited their nutrition and they were really eating way more calories than they realized on average. A while back, I actually shared an example from a client about this topic, and she was, complaining to me that she was gaining weight. Megan, I'm doing everything right. Why am I gaining weight? She was super frustrated, and she was saying, it must be my metabolism. It's got to be my metabolism. It's got to be my age. And I told her, get a food scale, and let's validate what you're actually tracking in your food tracking app. And when she did that, she realized she was eating 300 calories more than she thought. Well, of course you're going to gain weight over time. She literally thought she was eating 1,500 calories, but she wasn't. She was eating 18 to 1900 calories. Ladies, it's so easy to be eating more than you realize. And it can be really easy to be just kind of using measuring cups and plugging things into apps. And if you're not really weighing things on a food scale, I guarantee you're probably eating more than you realize. And I guarantee you're not broken. I hear this from women all the time. You are not broken. It's not your age. I guarantee it. And I guarantee your metabolism isn't broken either. In fact, if your metabolism was broken, you would be dead. You can't function alive without a functioning metabolism. And your metabolism, it's not that it's slow. Your metabolism is functioning the best that it can. It's that you're lacking muscle, probably not moving as much during the day, and you're eating more calories than you realize. Okay. Number 5, you starting over every Monday is an excuse. So very similar to the one where I talked about the all or nothing. When you say I'm going to start over Monday, you're actually making an excuse, and it's becoming a crutch for you. You are always one meal, one snack, one walk away from being back to your baseline. And I like to use that word like baseline or back to your routine, because there really is no off track. I mean, the only off track is like when you get off track on a Thursday and you're like, oh my gosh, screw this. I'm not getting back on track until Monday or next January. I mean, that's where you really get off track. But if you have like one meal or even one weekend, like a holiday weekend or a vacation weekend, where you're just kind of outside of your routine, that's not off track. So the goal is not perfectionism here. The goal is consistency. You know what really sabotages consistency? Sabotaging yourself by saying, screw it, I messed up with this one meal. I overate. I ate something I didn't plan for, so screw it. I can't do anything. I ruined everything. This is what really messes up your consistency. So, it's best if you can just shake it off and get right back on track with the next meal, the next walk, the next snack. And now, if you can do that, your consistency hasn't been impacted. You are more consistent when you can do that, but you are not consistent, like I said, when you say, I just need to start over Monday. That's a lie. You are always one meal, one walk away from just getting right back to your baseline. It's not only a lie that you tell yourself to make yourself feel better, but it's also an excuse. It also becomes a crutch. Let's say you go to happy hour and you overeat with friends. You can still go for a walk around the block when you get home. You can still not binge the rest of the night or not binge the next day. You can still not wait to start over. You can still track the other food you ate that day. You can still get some protein and drink your water that day. You have to start treating your weight loss just like you do every other area of your life. I mean, if you forgot to brush your teeth in the morning, legitimately you just forgot, it was a crazy morning, would you be like, oh my gosh, I can't brush my teeth until Monday? No, you just brush your teeth when you get home or when the next opportunity happens. It's the same thing with your weight loss. Most people kind of treat their weight loss like going to their job. They go to work every Monday and have the weekends off. You don't not take care of your kids over the weekend. You don't not brush your teeth over the weekend. You don't not pay your bills on the weekend. You still feed your dog on the weekends. You still feed your kids on the weekends. Some of you still even work on the weekends. So stop treating your weight loss like it's your job where you take the weekends off and go back to it every Monday. It's an excuse that a lot of people use. I can't get my protein because it's a Saturday. What? That's like saying I can't shower because it's Saturday. You are taking care of your health. You can do it, but it's a different mindset. You are choosing not to do it. And if you struggle with food on the weekends, chances are you are way too restrictive with your food choices during the week. You restrict way too much during the week. So then the weekends come and it's like a party. Okay? So stop starting over every Monday. There is no off track or off the wagon. You're just living your life. And if you can get right back to the next thing and get right back on track, you haven't ruined anything. It's a different mindset, okay? Number 6, weight loss truths you don't want to hear. Your hormones are not why you haven't lost weight. You just aren't consistent. Most of you are maybe going to get upset by this, but the truth is your hormones are not why you haven't lost weight. Now, I will say hormones do make things harder. They might be impacting your sleep. They might be impacting your mood and your energy, which makes your consistency harder. Okay? When you're tired, when you're moody, when your energy sucks, you are more likely to eat. And if you have those issues that are impacting your consistency, then you do need to get to a doctor to get your hormones checked, especially if it's perimenopausal and menopausal related. And menopause.org is a great resource for women. I've spoken about this a few times on this podcast. It really does suck for women going through this transition towards menopause because getting the right help is hard. Our healthcare system is not really set up appropriately, and I don't feel personally like it educates women really well on the transition to menopause. So most women just are kind of left to figure all this stuff out on their own, and they don't know where to turn. Menopause.org will help you find a doctor who specializes in this area to help you with this transition during this phase of life. So if you think you have something perimenopausal or menopausal going on, go to menopause.org and get your hormones tested. See what can be done to help with some of the symptoms you might be experiencing. If you have a thyroid issue or you think you have something going on with your thyroid, don't just go to your PCP, go to an endocrinologist. These are complex systems, and you shouldn't be just going to TikTok or Instagram for somebody who barely has any understanding of these complex systems. Okay? But now, back to the topic, most of you listening, your lack of weight loss is not because of your hormones. You have consistency issues. If you haven't been consistent with your nutrition, not your exercise, because exercise does not drive fat loss. If you have not been consistent with your nutrition for the last 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months, you cannot blame your hormones for the reason why you're not losing weight. My clients are all women over 35. The majority of them are going through perimenopause or already are in menopause. Many of them have a thyroid condition. Some of them have autoimmune diseases. Some of them have PCOS, insulin resistance, diabetes. But guess what? When those clients are consistent, they lose weight. It's slow, and it's slower than many of them like, but they do lose body fat. Even with their hormone issues and health conditions, they lose weight. Yes, it's slow. It's supposed to be slow. Fat loss is supposed to be slow, but the point is you can lose weight. You are not broken. So before you say it's your hormones, check your consistency first. Most women I have seen over the last 10 years in my practice who have tried to tell me it was their hormones, when they first come to work with me, they weren't consistent, and that's why they weren't seeing results. I also have a lot of women who tell me this in my free consultations. It's my hormones. I know it's my hormones. And I ask them, okay, what's your average calories been over the last 3 months? What's your average calories been over the last 6 months? What's your average protein and fiber the last 3 months? How many steps on average have you gotten the last 3 months, 6 months? None of them have the data. Why? Because they're not consistent. They're not tracking the data. And they're focusing on the wrong thing. Focusing on your hormones is kind of like watering your grass when your house is on fire. Your house is on fire and you are standing out in the front yard watching your house burn to the ground, and you are just watering the grass with a hose. You're not focusing on the big rocks, the things you can control, like getting consistent with steps, protein, fiber, and calories. These things, by the way, are going to help with any hormonal imbalances you are experiencing. And listen, I'm not saying hormones don't make it harder. It absolutely does. Your sleep is off, you're retaining more water, you're raging, your mood is all over the place, you're bloated, your energy sucks. I get it. In my 30s, I went through my own hormonal issues, and they were terrible. I became estrogen dominant, my testosterone tanked, and I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's, which is a thyroid autoimmune disease. You know what I was doing? I was watering my grass while my house was on fire. I was getting up at 4 a.m. to work out. Sometimes I was even getting up at 3 a.m. to work out because I was a consultant and I had to be at a client site by 7. I don't know how I did that looking back, but I would get up at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. and I would do 2 hours of cardio straight. And I was trying to eat 1,200 calories only to binge on peanut butter every night, wondering what was wrong with me. There's something wrong with me. I keep binging on peanut butter every night. I don't know what's going on. I never thought maybe it might be the fact that I was getting up at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. to work out for 2 hours every day. Well, I don't know. Every afternoon, I literally thought I was going to die. I was so sleep deprived, but I never would put it together in my head. Like maybe it's the fact that I'm trying to eat 1,200 calories and getting up so early and doing so much cardio and driving my body into the ground. Never put that together, and I was also cutting out carbs, trying to eat paleo. And I kept looking for what are the foods I need to cut out? What do I need to be doing? I was literally throwing fuel on the fire. I was watering my grass while my house was on fire. I was making my hormonal situation worse by doing all these crazy, obnoxious things. Instead of getting up at 4 a.m., I should have been sleeping in. Instead of trying to eat 1,200 calories, I should have been eating at maintenance. Instead of cutting carbs, I should have been increasing my fiber to help with my estrogen dominance. Instead of focusing on 2 hours of cardio, I should have been doing more strength training and restorative walks. I wasn't focusing on the big rocks, and just like many other women, I was blaming my hormones. I was watering my grass while my house was on fire. But it wasn't my hormones' fault because I was throwing fuel on the fire doing all these crazy, obnoxious things. And the bottom line was I wasn't consistent and my focus was on all the wrong things. Because in my mind, it was my hormones' fault. But it really wasn't. My hormones were reacting to this crazy stuff that I was doing. So listen, I'm not saying hormone issues don't exist, or that they don't make your life miserable, or that they don't make it harder to help to get you to reach your goals. But what I am saying is that sometimes we are doing things that are making our hormone issues a lot more problematic and harder to reach our goals, just like the story I just shared about myself, right? We're doing things to throw fuel on the fire. We're making the problem worse. And what I am saying is some women jump to blaming their hormones, but they're not consistent for more than 2 or 3 weeks, and they never get their hormones tested by the right experts. They don't get the help they need. They keep watching TikTok and Instagram videos, thinking that these influencers are going to have the answers to their problems. They should be seeing an expert for these very complex systems, right? And remember, if you're not consistent, for more months, you're not going to get the results that you think you should be getting. Most people that I see, like I said, when they come to me and talk to me in consultations and tell me they think it's their hormones, they haven't been consistent for more than 2 or 3 weeks. They are not consistent for months on end, and they are not consistent with focusing on the things that they should be. They're focusing on the wrong things, like I was in my 30s when my hormones were blowing up. And my hormones were blowing up as a reaction to all the crazy stuff I was doing. But I didn't realize I was doing it to myself. Okay? So again, hard to hear, right? I get it. I was there too. You're not alone. Number 7. Weight loss truths you don't want to hear. You are not trying your best. Now hear me out. I'm not suggesting you need to be some kind of robot and that you need to strive for perfection every single day. But you do need to understand that if you are lacking results, it's because you are not giving it your best. What do we tell kids when they're worried about a test at school? It's okay. Just do your best. I want you to work as hard as you can and do your best. Listen, if you are struggling, you are not doing your best. How is saying I'm an all or nothing person doing your best? It's not. It's validating your bad behavior. How is saying I'm going to start over every Monday doing your best? How is saying screw it and continuing to make bad decisions doing your best? How is skipping your protein at breakfast doing your best? How is saying if I can't do the whole workout, I can't work out at all doing your best? How is saying I can't walk today, even though you could walk around the block just to get your habit in, doing your best? How is not paying attention to your average calories while you're trying to be in a deficit doing your best? It's not. You need to understand if you are struggling and not getting results, you are probably not doing your best. And listen, weight loss, when it comes down to it, is easy, but it's very hard. It's simple, but it's hard. So if you are struggling, just remember, struggle is part of the process. It's how you learn. But if we had to really sit down and audit if you were doing your best, you may find you're probably not doing it. If you had to really audit yourself, when it comes to your habits, and you had to give yourself an A, B, C, D, F with each one of your habits, like sleep and protein and tracking and walking and strength training and getting your protein and fiber, if you had to give yourself a grade, like when it came down to these things, what would you give yourself? Right? You have to almost get brutally honest with yourself in this journey. Like if you say you want to be healthier and lose some body fat, you're not putting your best foot forward. It's kind of a terrible way to treat yourself. And unfortunately, I have seen this with a few clients over the years where they come to, coaching call, and I can tell they're so frustrated and feeling defeated. And they will say to me, I'm so confused. I'm so frustrated. I don't know why I'm not losing weight. And then I'll say, okay, let's look at your data. That's always the first thing to look at. I get that you're frustrated and confused, but let's see what your data says. And then their data will show that they're consistently way over their calories. And I'm like, okay, let's figure out why are we not managing calories? Why are we not paying attention to our averages? And people will say to me, I'm confused. I don't know why I'm not where I should be. But yet when you look at the data clearly shows this is why you're not where you should be. And they're just not making it a priority. They're not looking at the data, right? If you had to audit or grade yourself, grade these habits, what would you give yourself? And remember what I said, it's not like we're striving for perfection. We're not striving to be robots, but I do see a lot of women who are just not giving this like an A or B effort. They're doing these things and they're kind of like half-assed doing them. And I'm sorry to say it that way, but that's what I see. You're like half-assing it. You're not giving it your best. You're not taking it seriously. So if you're not giving it your best and you're not taking it seriously, it makes sense why you are not where you want to be, but you don't get to act confused about why you aren't where you want to be. Does that make sense? Okay. Number 8. If you know what to do but don't do it, you either don't know what to do or you don't care. I do see a lot of women who just don't know how much protein to eat, or they know how much protein they need but aren't sure what foods to eat to get to their protein goal, or they don't know how to eat balanced meals to stay full because they're struggling with hunger all the time, or they don't know how to get into a calorie deficit or how to eat more fiber, which foods they should eat to eat more fiber, or how to balance out their exercise so they're not over exercising and getting proper rest and recovery. I mean, a lot of people legitimately, they kind of know like the big things they should be doing, but they don't really know the details or how to do it or how to implement it. But on the flip side, some people don't care, or the reality doesn't hurt enough. Why do you do things like brushing your teeth, paying your bills, or going to work? You know you should do them, but you're not motivated to do them. You're not excited to go to work every day. You're not motivated to pay your bills every month when they come around. You don't love brushing your teeth, so why do you do it anyway? It's because the negative outcome hurts a lot worse, right? Getting evicted from your home, losing your car, getting your utilities shut off, having your kids taken away from you, that stuff hurts a lot more than just going to work. Having cavities, having bad breath hurts a lot worse than the 2 minutes it takes to brush your teeth at night, right? So if you say you know what to do but aren't doing it, then your current reality doesn't hurt bad enough, or the perceived hurt is something you're not aware of. Like, what's going to happen in 10 years or 20 years if you stay exactly where you are right now today? What happens to your romantic life? What if you have no intimacy with your partner for the next 10 years because you don't feel confident enough in your body? What happens if your kids see you struggle with food and yo-yo diet for the next 10 years? What happens if your grandkids come along in the next 10 years? Are you going to be physically able to run around with them, get down on the floor and play with them? When we start stacking up the future and the potential future hurt, right, of not changing, of not doing anything, this is where, things can really change somebody's perspective. Because if you say you know what to do, but you're not doing it, you either don't know what to do, you don't care, or you aren't aware of the future hurt from not taking action and fixing things and working on things today. It's like a kid who says they know that they should clean their room. Yeah, I know. But they don't clean their room because they just don't care. And this is why a person may know they're at risk for a heart attack, right? They know they're at risk with high cholesterol. They need to work on their cholesterol. They know that they've got heart disease in their family, but they don't really do anything to prevent it. Maybe they kind of do things here and there, but not really consistently. They don't really change. But then somewhere down the line, they have a heart attack and they survive, but then they kind of hit their rock bottom because, the heart attack scares them. And that's when they finally make changes, right? If you are in those shoes, is it because you don't know or because you don't care? Because it doesn't hurt enough right now? Which one is it? Because if the stakes were higher, I'm willing to bet you would change it. Now, listen, the other thing is that sometimes people know what to do and don't do it because they're trying to do it in a sucky way. And I've talked about this before. I have an entire podcast where I said, you know what to do, but you're not doing it. A lot of people think weight loss has to be miserable. They think they need to cut out all their favorite things and, they treat it like misery. If you're treating it like misery, that's also part of why maybe you're not doing what you should be doing. And that's why you don't have results. Okay. Number 9, weight loss truths you don't want to hear. This is the last one. It's going to take longer than you want. It's going to take longer than you want. Believe me, I wish I could give every one of my clients and every one of you your dream body in 6 months, but it just doesn't work that way. You don't get your dream body in 3 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, or for some people, not even in a year. It's going to be slow. It's going to take time. And you have to accept that fat loss and getting healthier takes time. And unfortunately, the diets you have experienced in the past have taught you it should be fast. But that is not normal weight loss. It was short-term and unsustainable and didn't teach you how to live real life in maintenance to maintain that weight loss. A lot of women I work with struggle with this mentally. Logically, they know slow is best, but mentally their brain keeps telling them it's wrong, it's not working, yada, yada. You really, really have to work hard to accept that it's going to take longer than you want, and you need to stop comparing yourself to other people. I can't stress this enough. You have no idea what someone else's story or journey is, what their diet history looks like, what their relationship with food looks like, what their childhood or lifestyle looks like, how their metabolism functions, how active they are. You literally don't know where that person is starting from or what their conditions, past or present, are, what they're dealing with. So you need to stop comparing. There's no benefit to comparing. Comparison is the thief of joy, and it does nothing to help you move forward. Stop comparing, stop envying. The grass is not always greener, and accept this is going to take time. And as long as you keep going, you are guaranteed to get to where you want to be. As long as you just keep chipping away and working at this, you're going to get there. It's guaranteed. Guaranteed. Okay. That was number 9. So that was all of them. 9 weight loss truths you didn't want to hear. You didn't know you didn't want to hear. Now listen, I'm here to help. And I know some of these things are hard to hear. Even I didn't want to hear these things in my journey or learn these things in my journey. It's tough. Change is hard. But what I know coaching women over 35 for the last 10 years is that the basics work, and they are simple. But they are not easy because these other areas get in the way mentally of doing things consistently. You have to upgrade your mental operating system in this journey. You have to lose weight from the inside out. You can't just do a calorie deficit and carry along your old cruddy way of thinking and think that's going to be the way to permanent change. It's not. That will only get you temporary results at best. And you've done that, I'm guessing, many times already. So it's time to fix the real things getting in the way, okay? Upgrade your mental game, because that's the real thing that's getting in the way. And if you can't do that on your own, it's probably time to get some support. And it doesn't have to be from me. There's a lot of good coaches out there. But if you don't get the support and you don't change your mental game, chances are pretty high you're going to take all of this with you to your grave. And I don't think you want that. Let me tell you, as somebody who lost 80 pounds and didn't think she could do it and was always trying to restrict and do crazy things with her diet, life is so much better when you get to the other side. It is hard though, but it's much easier when you've got a support system that can help you and give you perspective and give you accountability and give you a roadmap and just be a friend and a guide along the way. Okay? So I hope that this was all helpful for you guys today. I'll talk to you soon. Hey, if you enjoyed this podcast, you have to come check out my free weight loss class. It's the 5 steps to lasting weight loss, how hormones impact weight loss, and the truth about lasting weight loss without relying on willpower, workouts, or deprivation. Click the link in the show notes to watch that free class today. And if you are a woman over 35 with 20 to 50 or more pounds to lose, schedule a free weight loss breakthrough session with me after you watch that class. And let's talk about your 20 to 50 or more pound weight loss plan.